Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 248. Subscribe to our mailing list to receive weekly updates and exclusive content delivered right to your inbox. Go to drfrancesrichards.com. That's drfrancesrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. That's drfrancesrichards.com, drfrancesrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. We promise we won't spam you or sell your information. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Stock and option trading coach, Dr. Laquore Meadows, CEO and co-founder of Invest to Give, LLC. Welcome, Dr. Laquore.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here.
Given our audience such a brief bio, why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Certainly. Well, once again, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to participate in your podcast. I think this is such a wonderful experience, and I look forward to sharing as much as possible with your audience. So just a little bit about me. So I like to say that I shake the planet by helping busy professionals who struggle with building multiple streams of income do so by trading on the stock market. So I started my entrepreneurial journey based off of experience that I had with a millionaire, right? There was this woman who decided to donate $5.3 million to the office that I lead. And I was just so inspired by her generosity. And through learning about how she acquired her wealth, I learned that she acquired it through the stock market. And so that got me really jazzed and like, okay, I got to figure this out, because I too wanted to be able to leave a legacy that I always share with people that will be someday the answer to someone's prayers. And so that's what got me started, and just super excited to be along this journey and helping others in the process as well.
Someone is saying, oh my goodness, do you want to invest in the stock market with everything going on? And I'm speaking specifically what happened with GameWorks stocks.
Absolutely. So, there's no better time than now, right, to get started learning how to invest in the stock market. But I continue to invest because it is a wealth building tool. And as a trader, regardless the direction that the market is moving in, whether if prices are continuing to appreciate or if there's a pullback in the market, I still know how to benefit from those respective moves. And so, absolutely, even with the GameStop situation with Reddit and so forth, I think primarily that was an educational moment. One, it got people looking at what's happening in the overarching market. It also demonstrated that, just as what I just mentioned, that money can be made in both directions. So the hedge funds, for example, were making money. They were shorting as the market was falling, whereas the retail investors, which were the people who were connected with Reddit, they began to buy. And so that was a really good moment for our nation to see, hey, you know what? Money can be made in both directions. But also, more importantly, it was an opportunity for the nation to see the power of the individual as well.
What are you most grateful for right now in your life?
I would say connection with people, connection with thought leaders, having the opportunity to be immersed in environments where people are supportive of me, supportive of my dreams, supportive of my goals is just something that is unimaginable. I would also say that my connection with God is also really important to me as well. So those are, I would say, the things that come top of mind for me. Of course, there's a list of things I can say, but just having the opportunity to serve in connection with people and having the opportunity to help others to generate and to navigate their own wealth journey, I couldn't think of anything greater.
What is something that we should know about your industry as consumers that we don't know?
So as a African American female who is heavily engaged in the stock market, something that I think that's really important to know is on whose shoulders we stand on. So when we think about early days of Wall Street, one thing that's important to note is that the first asset sold on Wall Street were enslaved Africans. Okay, let's let that sink in. The first asset on Wall Street were enslaved Africans. So with that said, we have a history of being there, right? Enslaved Africans actually built part of the wall that named Wall Street. So I think it's important for us to, one, pay homage to those individuals who were separated from their families, were dealt with so many respective tragedies, but know that now with the advent of technology, with the advent of just being more educated, that we can win at this, right? We can win at this and hopefully in some way make those individuals who had to endure such tragedy, make them proud.
Advice you wish you had followed?
That's a great question. When you ask that question, it takes me back to a moment in life where a woman by the name of Victoria Dunn, who has since now gone on home to glory, she told me that I was a superstar. And I was shocked when she said it. I wasn't expecting it, but I wish I would have believed it. Because I think that if I did actually walk in that and walk in my true brilliance earlier in life, then I think that there would be great opportunity for me to be even further along on my respective journey. But I don't think that anything happens. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the timing of where I am. I just would say that it would have been helpful for me to fully walk in that and operationalize it when she said that to me. And she's not the only one who said something like that, but her particular comments is something that was very memorable to me.
About that aha moment when you knew that you were going to be successful?
Well, I think that happens every day, honestly. As I mentioned earlier, I have people in my life right now that makes me feel like I am invincible, right? And so just that continual encouragement that this is possible, that things are going to work out, is just that continual reinforcement that, yeah, I know my stuff, right? I mean, I know my stuff, but it's more like, I can do this, right? I can do this. And not only can I do it, I can definitely make an impermeable mark on the world as I talk about shaking the planet to help others do the same.
So talk about the story behind the investments and going into investing. Did you take the educational track or did you take the self-learn track? How did you get into investing and how did you learn it?
Absolutely. So I did both. And so as I mentioned earlier, my journey really started with a $5.3 million gift. After I learned how our donor acquired her wealth, I learned that she acquired the majority of it through investing in the stock market. With that said, I then began to research. I spent hours upon hours on Investopedia, hours upon hours into the Ameritrade, looking in their educational services, traveling to various investing events, and just absorbing everything that I could. I began to see some successes on my own through the education that I received by learning candlesticks, by learning stock charts and indicators and you name it. But what I really needed was a strategy. And so a strategy that worked, a consistent strategy. At that point, that's when the self-education turned into me recognizing that there was a need for me to actually take a class. And so I took a class, and that's what really was the game changer for me. So I've taken like several classes, like formalized classes since then. And that's what really was the game changer to help me get going.
Is there a class or a book that you would recommend?
Absolutely. So my class would be the one that I would definitely recommend. I offer two different courses. I offer a starter course, which I help people transition from I'm interested to I'm invested. And then I also offer an options accelerator. Now, this is the no fluff. Let's not worry about YouTube, going from YouTube video to YouTube video, but I take you from A to Z on learning how to be a buyer of calls and puts. That would be the classes I would recommend. But then in addition to that, as far as a book goes, one of the most important things when we are investors, and especially traders on the stock market, is to understand the language of it. So understanding the language of price. With that, there is something called Japanese candlesticks. With the candlesticks, that will help us to discern what we need to do. So there's a book called The Candlestick Course that I highly, highly, highly recommend for anyone who's interested in trading stocks, because not only does the book provide you with information, but it has quizzes at the end of each chapter to check for understanding. That would be the book that I would recommend to get started.
Dr. Laquore, there are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Yes, definitely. So I would say actually my instructor. She has done some amazing work within the investing space. I've watched her journey from her telling me, actually, girl, I'm trying to start this class, to really doing a fantastic job and teaching thousands of people. That definitely would be the brand that I would say that I admire. And her name is Terry Ijeoma, by the way. Definitely admire the work that she has done over time.
And Terry was also on the podcast, Invest with Terry. So yeah, shout out to Terry.
Yes, she's fantastic.
What is the best decision you have made as a leader?
Learning how to delegate. Yes, that has definitely been the best decision I've made, because what I've learned, especially as an entrepreneur, and not only just an entrepreneur who is in business, I'm also a full-time professional, right? I'm also a mom. I'm also, a friend, a number of different things, right? And so with that said, there is a lot of asks that are made of me, lots of projects that I am charged to do, not only with consulting jobs, with committees that I serve on, boards that I serve on. So I recognize that although I would love to, right, have my fingerprints on a lot of things, I have to ask for help, right? And I have to delegate some of the things that I just simply don't have the time to do. So I would say that would be one of the best things that I've had to do and learn as a leader. Also, I would say just one more thing is making sure that I acknowledge those who are around me and let them know how much they're appreciated, right? So it's not just about asking for tasks, asking for things to help support kind of the infrastructure of me, but really letting them know how much they're appreciated and how much they're valued. So that's something that I think it has been helpful. And when people know that they value, then they're more likely to hang out. They're more likely to continue to rock with you moving forward.
Dr. Laquore, what can we do right now to support your business or brand?
Yeah, so I would say to support the community in general is get started. Right? Is get started. Start researching, start educating yourself, start learning as much as you possibly can about investing. Now, as far as to support me in particular, I would say just join me on Clubhouse, right? I teach weekly. I'm on Clubhouse teaching a lesson. I'm teaching something about investing. I'm teaching something about trading. Come and join me within one of my classes as well. I do have 3 classes right now. I mentioned earlier my starter course as well as my options class, but I also am really, really adamant about helping to promote generational wealth. And I can't think of a better way to do that than by teaching kids. And so I have an Invest Young program as well that's targeted for students or youth ages 10 through 17. And so that program helps young people build their own stock portfolio. And then they follow that stock portfolio for several weeks. We come back and we analyze, see what happened in the market. We talk about the various events that happened. And then those who had acquired the greatest profit on their P&L statement, then they will receive an Amazon gift card. So that keeps them incentivized and keeps them excited about making sure that they are following the market for the time that we are apart. So so that would be some ways I would say to support me. But feel free to join me on any of the social media platforms and specifically Clubhouse, because I'm there weekly.
The word is listening. Talk about that resounding sound or that message that your generation is saying to us that we should listen to.
I would say be flexible. Be flexible. There are new and different ways of being. There's new and different ways of doing things. And I think that at times when there are modes of operation that have been consistent over time, sometimes there's a resistance to change. Sometimes there's a resistance to that shift that may need to happen. So I think that the advent of the pandemic that we've been in has definitely demonstrated to the world that things can be shifted, things can be different. I would say flexibility would be one of those key tenets that I would think that our current generation is saying.
I'd like you to have a monologue with a person. You're going to name that person, and this individual that you're talking to has just inspired you and has given you the most profound advice. Talk to that person, and what would you say to that person?
I would simply start by saying thank you. I think gratitude is one of the greatest forms of appreciation that one can give. I would say that actually has happened to me, where I've been on Clubhouse and received some really significant, earth-shattering advice around my business, and especially around my recent summit that I hosted. Just simply saying thank you, and also offering an opportunity for me to support them in some way. I may not be positioned well to support them, but there may be something, right? There may be something that I may not be able to help that person in particular, but I would say that thank you to them, and also help to support the network that's around them.
And that monologue was to whom?
So someone who offered a word of advice, a word of encouragement, someone who helped me to take a couple of additional steps down the road, down my path.
Let's talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
Absolutely. So my legacy is I want to build and leave a legacy that's the answer to someone's prayers. And so my hope is that I will someday generate enough wealth so that I can be supportive of the institutions and people that I care most about.
Dr. Laquore, what do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
That's a really good question. I would say to truly move the needle, I would love to see more people have the mindset of ownership over consumership. And I think that if that was a common thing for people, particularly people of color, particularly women, African-American women, who, just for example, spend over $2.5 billion in the hair industry alone each year, if the mindset was there to utilize the buying power that we have to make our money work for ourselves, then that's when I feel that myself, people like me who are passionate about this work, can truly move the needle in our community.
What problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
Absolutely, hands down, the gender and racial wealth gap. First and foremost, that is on the top of my list. I think daily about those enslaved Africans that I talked about that were sold on Wall Street. I think daily about them, right? I want to make a difference. There have been so many institutional structures put in place that have kept our culture back. And so now is the time. Now is the time for us to truly make a difference. There are many leaders out here that understand how to navigate various investment types, who understand how to build wealth through entrepreneurship, who understand how to truly make a difference. So let's learn. Let's learn. Let's work together. Let's truly, truly make a difference, not only for ourselves in our lifetime, but our children's 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 children, right? We have the power to do that. So that would be the solution that I would like to solve is the gender and racial wealth gap. Absolutely. Hands down.
What does self-care look like to Dr. Laquore?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why I'm like itching to move south is I love spending time in nature. Love it. Anytime I can go to a park and just like sit and walk and run and smell trees, like that is my thing. So spending time in nature, spending time talking to God, spending time listening to the wind, listening to the birds, watching the butterflies, watching the chipmunks, you name it, like that is my thing. So having an opportunity to just spend time outdoors at peace, then that's self-care for me.
Talk about your top 2 influencers and what lessons did they teach you?
Ooh, top 2 influencers. So I would say first and foremost, God, right, has definitely been a major influence in my life. He's taught me how to, one, be a good person, right? He's taught me how to be caring for others. He's taught me to recognize that I am a valuable person that can truly make a difference, right? And I can go on and on and on with lessons I've learned from God. I would say my second influencer would have to be my grandmother. Although she passed when I was 12 years old, she definitely had a major impact on my life. And she's actually the reason why I have a PhD today. Because one of the things that she shared with me was, you know, people can take things from you, but they can never take away the education that you have. That resonated with me so strongly when I was a kid that I was like, okay, well, let me get all the education I have because I don't want nobody to say nothing for me. I'm an only child. So I like to have my own thing. So I don't know, whatever reason compelled her to make that statement, it definitely served me well much later in life. So yes.
And what is your doctorate in?
My doctorate is in higher education administration.
Talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I would say, sis, it's okay. You are valuable. You are worthy. Your voice needs to be heard. Don't bury your head in the sand. Stand tall and shine. You're brilliant. You're kind. You're incredibly gifted. People tell you this all the time. It's time for you to believe it as well.
Talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
Traveling to Africa, hands down, most memorable moments. I've been there 4 times, have enjoyed every single time, but spending time on that continent was definitely the most life-changing experience I could ever have had, particularly when I visited Tanzania. I spent time with family, not my personal family, but they're my neighbors, which I consider to be family. And just spending time just watching and engaging and immersing myself within the culture of that beautiful country was just a life-changing experience. Spending time on the safari, spending time in Zanzibar, learning about the slave trade that happened there. And I cannot speak highly enough about that particular experience. Also going to South Africa. That was an amazing experience as well. I've been to Kenya, I've been to Egypt. I love spending time on that continent.
We're talking about leadership. Who do you define as our leaders of today?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. It's interesting that I am having some challenges identifying someone who has definitely stood out. So I would say that when I think about the investing community, I'll just stick with that. I would say that there are some individuals who have definitely moved the needle in that regard. Jerry being one of them, most definitely. I would say that Jada Trader is another one that has introduced our community to the bonds market. I would say that Kendra Barnes is another one that I would say is leading in the real estate space. She's done some amazing work there. So those would be some people that would come to mind in the investment space in the African American investing community. Now, when I think more broadly, I don't know.
What are we hearing from our leaders today?
I would say we're hearing from our leadership, and I'll speak specifically, I'll stick with the investing space. It's the importance of doing your due diligence. And I think that that's critically important because there are a lot of people who will speak and talk at a level where they can be viewed to be experts, but it is important that one educate their own selves and do their due diligence around researching companies, researching exchange traded funds, researching indices, researching whatever their investment type is. Because if you know it for yourself, then that empowers you to make the best decisions for your particular situation. So I would say one of the things that I've heard a lot, especially on Clubhouse, right, is the importance of doing your due diligence. And I am one of those leaders who also shares that same message as well.
What was your biggest win this week, Dr. Laquore?
This week, let's see. So I enrolled more clients into my courses. So super excited about that. I love having new members of the Investigative family. I would also say a big win for this week was getting started on my book that's upcoming. So that has been an exciting project to get going. Let's see, what else did I do this week? Oh, also my book, being on your show. That's huge, right? Having the opportunity to be here, to speak, to share with the world, that's definitely a tremendous win as well.
Do you want to share anything about this book you're writing?
Absolutely. So I'm still landing on the title. I was thinking about calling it Dear Wall Street, but I'm also thinking about something around the rise of the Black investing class. My goal with this book is to, one, share the narratives of our ancestors who really just kind of lives with me every day, but also tell the stories of new Black investors, right? There are so many people who are now interested and engaged in the stock market, interested and engaged in real estate, interested and engaged in cryptocurrencies, you name it, right? Whereas just 5 years ago, this was not a conversation. Certainly was a conversation that I particularly had around my dinner table growing up, but now it's a conversation. And so I think it's important to have the opportunity to tell the stories of people who have decided to embark upon this journey, and then also who have truly made a difference, not only for their families, but for the families of others as well.
What was your biggest win last year?
I would say just continuing to grow my business. That has been something that I have aspired to do. As I mentioned earlier, I am a full-time employee, so it's not easy, right? Being an entrepreneur and also working and making sure that all the tasks of a 9 to 5 are accomplished, as well as trading at the same time. So that was something that I think was a big win. Also, last year was when I got my largest profit on the stock market. So I made $14,000 in a day. And so that was definitely a huge win that I was able to accomplish last year.
Give us 3 truths about business that you've learned, Dr. Laquore.
I think first and foremost that it takes the same energy to enroll someone as a client at one level that it does at another. So charge what you're worth, right? Charge what you're worth. I think that that's critically important for all entrepreneurs to hear and also to internalize, because it's wonderful to be, I want to serve, I want to do this, I want to, have this low ticket offer so I can have more people. But if the information that you're providing is life-changing, charge for that, right? That's important, because as an entrepreneur, we're in this to serve, yes, but also in order to stay in business, you have to make money as well. So that is one thing that I've definitely learned on this journey. Also, just the importance of eliminating, not mitigating, making lesser, but eliminating limiting beliefs. That is key, because I think that keeps so many people back from truly living in their full essence of excellence. Eliminating what Marshawn Evans calls the little me. That is so, so important. So that would be the second thing that I would say that I've learned, and it's really important. The third thing I would say is, despite how it may look, despite how you may feel, if this is something that you're passionate about, if this is something you truly believe in, keep pushing, keep striving, keep thriving. Even though it may not look like people are watching, paying attention, buying, what have you, somebody is. I get messages all the time from people that says, Laquore, I love what you're doing. Congratulations. How do I get involved? Right? So things like that, even when it seems like it doesn't make a difference or it doesn't matter, it is. People are watching. People are watching what you're doing. So I would just encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast to stay encouraged. If you are in that space, stay encouraged. Keep shining. Keep making it happen. The world needs you.
Dr. Laquore, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
What is next level for your business? What is next level? To answer that question, I would say that I am interested in moving beyond just offering a class, right? Classes. I'm really interested in providing an experience for future investors where their holistic selves can be cared for and nurtured to in order to help promote their investing journey. So what that looks like providing supports around mindset, right? That looks like providing supports around other areas as well. So I would say that next level for me is to move beyond just offering courses, but really supporting that total investor. In addition to that, looking at other investment types. So in addition to being an investor in the stock market and trade on the stock market, I'm a digital real estate investor. So that's not something that's commonly talked about in the African American community, but it is a very low barrier to entry to becoming a digital real estate investor. So let's figure out how to do that, right? If we don't have the money on hand to invest in shares of Square or Roku or what have you, right? Or Bitcoin or what have you, let's figure out how to buy some digital real estate, right? It's just like buying real estate brick and mortar. It's just in the online space. That would be another next level idea, right, that I would love to incorporate under the Invest to Give umbrella.
You've piqued our interest. Can you talk more about digital real estate?
Yes, absolutely. And so there are a number of different things that you can do in the digital real estate space. My expertise is more around domain investing. What I do is I search for domains that have specific characteristics in them, right? There's an art and there's a science to this, that a brand can be built around. Once that domain has been identified, then I have that domain appraised to see if it makes sense for me to purchase it. If it makes sense to purchase, then I will buy the domain and then flip it for sale. So very similar to the stock market. You buy at one price, right? Domains cost no more than, it depends on what extension you purchase, but a .com will cost you around $12 to $13. Then you can sell it on a market, or you can build it out, and then you can charge a higher price for it. So I'll give you an example. There was a domain that I bought recently that was aligned with Clubhouse, right? And aligned in the stock space. I paid $12.99 for that domain. I went to a domain broker, asked how much the domain was worth. He told me my domain was appraised for $5,000. I spent $12,000. Okay. So with that said, there is a lot of opportunity for individuals who have to enter into the digital real estate space with a low entry point, but make money. Now, it doesn't have to be $5,000, but even if you can turn $12 into $100, that's crazy returns, right? That is something that I have been doing and something that I absolutely love. Another thing too is you can lease domains. People can lease domains from you. So talk about passive income. That's an opportunity as well. If it's something that someone can build a business around or build a community around or build something around, then that digital real estate space is something that can be of great value.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Dr. Laquore, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Absolutely, I'm ready.
Your first job?
What was it? Oh, I worked at Princeton Junior High School.
Your favorite color?
Red. I'm a Delta.
The last movie you saw?
Coming to America. It's my favorite. It's a classic.
You relax doing what?
Spending time in nature, hands down.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Whitney Houston, love her.
Your favorite dance song?
So I love African songs. So I don't have a particular one, but anything that has an African beat to it, I'm dancing around the house.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
So I'm so embarrassed by this, but I love Belvita breakfast bars, the honey chocolate chip ones. Yeah.
Your favorite month?
October, my birthday month.
Workout or hit the couch?
Workout definitely when I'm not crazy busy. Love working out.
Dr. Laquore, thank you so much for spending time with us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you? And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So individuals can reach me by going to my website, which is invest2give.com. That's invest2give.com. You can also find me on all social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, and Clubhouse at invest2give. Again, that's invest2give. And if you ever want to schedule time to connect with me, you can also connect with me by visiting mycalendar.club. .club is an extension. Remember, I'm a domain investor. So mycalendar.club is time to chat and learn more about the stock market.
Thank you, Dr. Laquore. That's a wrap.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Our guests have sent us so much swag, books, and giveaways this year. I can't wait to announce our monthly winner. So if you want exclusive content delivered right to your inbox and to enter into our monthly drawing, go to drfrancisrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. That's drfrancisrichards.com. drfrancisrichards.com. That's drfrancisrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. We promise we will not spam you or sell your information.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.